So guys, this is Max Chat, and we're back with another podcast on corgis. So I'm Max Duarte, and my son Gavin is doing the production of this and also the engineering. So if every once in a while you might hear from him if we have questions or if there's a technical issue. He also helps direct us. This is my wife, Suzi Duarte, and she, she has like a hobby, and we breed corgis. We do it for fun. We do it for, we like our dogs. We like corgis. We're really into it. So she does it for just for fun. Like I said, it's a hobby. Would you like to say a little bit about it, Suzi?
Sure. Well, it started with Daisy, and then it just went from there. And you hear a lot of the, you can't have, they're like potato chips, you can't have just one. And I kind of believe that. So, yeah, it started with Daisy and just went from there. And
how many do we have now?
6.
We have 6.
Well, 18 with the puppies.
Okay, yeah. We have 6 here in our house. And one of the things about being a breeder, even on a hobby level, is that, if you have too many dogs, it's hard to raise them in a loving home. But there's such a demand that we actually thought it was a good idea if we had some other dogs in some other homes that would treat them as pets and be very loving to them, and we would breed to those dogs. But Suzi's very selective, of course, of where those homes are. Would you like to talk a little bit about Phoebe and Dixie?
Sure. Phoebe and Dixie live with our friends, Heidi and Tony, and their kids. They're very well loved. It's the 2 of them and their Chihuahua friend, Roxy, and a cat. But they get more one-on-one time than if they were here. So I like that aspect of it. And we see them all the time. They live less than a mile away.
Yeah, it's like, what would you, like, people have bad feelings about backyard breeders. But I don't know, what would be better if we had them in a factory? I don't understand. Could you talk a little bit about that?
When I first started breeding, I wasn't really aware of terms. I mean, I wasn't breeding per se. I bred a litter. I found out Daisy is a very nice, very well-bred dog. I showed her a couple of times, and my daughter showed her, and she had did pretty well with amateur, handlers. So we bred her the first time to a champion male dog. We got a beautiful litter of puppies, and not really knowing terms, I would have considered myself a backyard breeder. I thought that was, it sounded nice. It's at my house, and it wasn't in a laboratory or
a factory.
And it wasn't in the kitchen. I guess it could have been, but it was in our backyard. So I didn't see anything wrong, but there's a negative connotation about backyard breeders. They're almost as bad as puppy mills, it seems. Now, I think what they're calling a backyard breeder, they're saying is people that are just indiscriminately breeding dogs in the backyard, I guess. But I'm very discriminate.
Yeah. I think the thought is that they're not experts. They're just regular, everyday Joes just breeding a dog, and they don't take the time to do testing, and they don't take the time to all that barking's getting in here. Our dogs are out.
Do corgis bark a lot? Yeah.
This is the time of day where they're very frisky.
Well,
so
they're herding the ponies right now.
The ponies are very frisky at this time of day too, right?
They're waiting for dinner, so they're running around back there.
And we have miniature horses, and we have a pony, and they love to play with the dogs through the fence. Like they will tease the dogs.
Absolutely.
Interact with them.
Yeah.
Which ones interact most?
Shiloh, Summer, and Taffy. Really, yeah. Shiloh, Summer, and Taffy, the little girls.
It's funny. Yeah, they're a trip. But, okay, so
Well, you were talking about backyard breeder.
We were talking about backyard breeding. Yeah.
And evidently the term that is used for there's reputable breeder, but they call it a hobby breeder. And to me, I thought a hobby breeder sounded less, serious even than it sounded a little flip to me, like
right.
flippant.
Yeah. Well, so you can be an expert and you can still do it out of your home. You wouldn't do it out of like a warehouse or something. So most dogs are bred in a backyard, I would assume.
I don't know statistics about that, but there's also, a lot of the times you take the dog to the vet and you can do artificial insemination. There are different levels of artificial insemination, all the way to surgical procedures, to very, very minimally invasive, not more than would naturally happen with the male dog. But yeah, I mean, it seems like the backyard is kind of a natural area for dogs to breed.
For sure.
Or out on the street, but
for sure. I think you would have a different type of following though if we had a bunch of kennels in the backyard that with caged up dogs that we let out at intervals, but we don't. We have all our dogs out there. We play with them. They jump in the pool with us. They go for jogs with us. They
barbecue with us.
Boy, yesterday was tough because you don't want to, feed them off the barbecue because Suzi's got very strict rules on feeding. As a matter of fact, right now, what's going on with feeding these mama dogs? What are you feeding them?
They're getting. I need them to eat. They need to eat a lot. They need calories to make milk and take care of the babies. They're getting pretty much their regular diet. I feed a very high quality kibble, and it's Origin brand. And I also feed Primal, a freeze dried variety of Primal dog food. They're very good foods, high in protein. I add coconut oil. I give them a little turmeric, a little pepper in there. And I'm also giving them liver, raw, and sometimes a little bit cooked liver. Cottage cheese for calcium. I don't really like to do dairy product. I try to get goat milk cottage cheese, but that's kind of hard to find. And goat milk, kefir, which is like a drinkable yogurt. And I'm just trying to get them calories, some calcium, and keep them happy.
Yeah, hope we eat enough. I know that's important so they can produce the milk.
Mm-hmm.
On a regular basis, what do you feed the dogs? What's a regular meal for one of our dogs that didn't just go through a pregnancy and aren't like trying to make milk?
A very basic meal. I always add things to it, but let's just say I'm in a big hurry. They get the Origin kibble and water. I always put water in a pretty decent amount. It helps fill them up and make sure I always know they get that amount of water. They get probably a half a cup of water in their breakfast meal and a half a cup in their dinner meal. And it's pretty soupy, but they like it. And again, I know that they're getting at least that much hydration when they're out running around. I don't know who's drinking from what buckets. And yeah.
That's their kibble.
That's the kibble. That's very basic and the very, very basic meal that they don't get that often because.
What's not in that food that you would deter from feeding that's in other foods such as chicken? Because I know chicken can cause inflammation, and we've had a dog. We don't breed, but she's had hip issues.
Suki was kicked by a mini horse, and when she's almost 5 years old now, and she was a year and a half, and she got, I'm not sure if she was kicked or otherwise trampled while she was herding the mini horses, and she seemed fine. They're tough dogs, but then she was limping on and off. Finally, I took her to the vet, and x-rays showed that she had some inflammation in one hip. The other hip was great, but she has some inflammation in one hip from that previous accident. And I wasn't advised at that time about diet. I was actually told to bring her in, not too much exercise, let her rest, and give her an anti-inflammatory drug, and which at the time was Daramax, I believe. And it's one of those drugs that if you give too much, they can have stomach problems, et cetera, et cetera. But I would so I rarely do that. Yeah. So I would give that to her as little as possible, but there were times she was really limping. I found another vet who's actually a top surgeon for hips and ACLs and all those kind of, doggy injuries. And she said, first of all, let's start with diet and let's try laser therapy. We did that, and after the first treatment, she wasn't limping anymore. She had us get off of any chicken, and a lot of foods will say, limited ingredient, it's a lamb meal and rice or whatever. But there's always chicken. I find it's very, very hard. I can't find, there are very few foods at PetSmart that don't have some kind of chicken. And they're high quality foods too. They can be a high quality food, but they'll be chicken fat or something like that. So I avoid chicken, venison, and
Grains?
And grains, yeah.
It's 10 minutes.
Okay, thanks, Gavin. The thing about Suki, to me, that was super impressive was that when you change your diet, and we did, 2 or 3 laser surgeries? Not surgeries, laser treatments.
Yeah.
Where you just, she, how did that work? Tell us about the laser treatment.
Well, it's funny because I noticed it, but I'm around her all the time. She's like my sidekick. And but you actually said you didn't really like her. You didn't know her because she would never come around. She wasn't playful. She used to always growl at Dash, who's the sweetest dog, and he wasn't doing anything. He didn't get it, but she would growl at Dash, and just I didn't think too much other than she maybe didn't like Dash.
I thought she was a jerk. She was never nice to me, never happy, never. Yeah, she seemed like just an angry dog, but not mean, just grumpy.
Yeah. Well, we did I noticed immediately with the limping after the first laser treatment, and then I also had gotten off all of the I was already doing grain free forever, but I got all the chicken out of the diet, and I noticed after probably 2 weeks, especially, is when you were saying how fun she was and how nice she was.
Changed personality completely. She's
Stopped
a new dog.
being grumpy with Dash.
Super happy, super playful, wiggling her butt.
Yes.
Oh yeah, she's a new dog. I feel like we got a new dog.
And I like to tell people if you have a dog with a behavioral problem, one of the things to look at is are they having pain somewhere, because they exhibit pain in a different way than we do. A lot of times they don't really exhibit pain. Their behavior is off.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
If they're grumpy to other dogs, they might be aggressive to other dogs in the house. Imagine if you're having, say, a puppy or another dog playing rough and jumping on a dog with inflammation in their hip or hip dysplasia or any kind of issue that they just don't want to be bothered. They're going to display aggression toward that other dog or child or human.
Well, yeah, for sure. What other supplements?
I mean human child, but
child or human. What other supplements do you give besides Origin? You said is the food you're giving now.
Is the main kibble
kibble, and then there was another one you mentioned. Primal.
Really,
what is that?
Good.
Is that kibble?
It is a freeze-dried food. They have a frozen variety. I like the freeze-dried because it's easy to store, easy to handle. I don't have a lot of freezer space, so I use the freeze-dried.
We have 2 freezers and 2 refrigerators and freezers, but okay, they're all full. These are not cheap foods either.
No.
They're very expensive foods, unfortunately. But you get what you pay for with these foods. Mm-hmm. You really do. And then you would feed all raw almost, wouldn't you, if it was easier and more accessible?
I'm not 100% sold on raw. I want to be, but I haven't done enough research myself to be sold on raw. And I also, I tell almost everybody it comes up, I had a kidney transplant 4.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I can't believe it's been that long now. And there are a lot of things that I was told, the doctors being extra safe, one of them being don't handle raw meat. Well, since then, it's just like, I think, I handle it. I feed my family, we don't eat meat anymore. However, I used to do chicken or whatever. Now, I do worry about handling the raw food because you have to think about the dishes. And I wash the dishes after every meal, put them through the dishwasher and all of that. But you have to worry about
the dishes, that is.
The dog's dishes. Our dishes,
yeah,
I don't wash those.
Well, we wash those too. But I'm just saying, we wash the dog's dishes. It's crazy here.
But there's a concern there with for me personally with the raw food.
You do feed raw a couple
I
times a week.
do feed a lot of raw food, actually. I
Even
feed
though you're
raw
not completely-
liver. I get grass-fed beef liver. I feed raw pork neck bones. My dog's teeth are so white they've never had dental cleanings.
That's the other thing too, right? You're concerned about GMOs and hormone in the raw meat, so it's very expensive to and difficult to get sometimes even. What other supplements? I know you mentioned turmeric a minute ago and coconut oil.
I like spirulina a lot.
Spirulina. What is spirulina?
It is an algae.
Like an algae?
Yeah.
And turmeric?
Turmeric, and always a little pepper with the turmeric.
Helps it.
Coconut oil. I also do olive oil sometimes. The turmeric, pepper, and coconut oil is a daily thing. Every single day.
Oh, you do give them that
every single day. Yeah, just one meal. I usually just do dinner though.
15?
Yep.
Okay.
It's going pretty smooth though. So
A little dark.
okay. So while we didn't. Is that about it with the nutrition, or is there anything else you do?
No, there's a lot more with nutrition. There's a lot more. A lot, yeah.
What else do you do?
Raw eggs. Some
Shell
of them
and all,
eat the
right?
shell. They don't all eat the shell. They loved it in the beginning, then they got kind of bored with it. But I'll peel the dogs that don't eat the shell anymore. I'll peel that little membrane outside of that's inside the shell, and that's great for hip and joint health. Well, or joint health for dogs. Green lip mussel is a big one. I love green lip mussel for not the crustacean itself. It's a crustacean, right?
Yes.
And but the powder. Okay, well the powder from that. I don't know.
We're not experts on that, but and what else?
I think those are the basics I can think right now that I have right now. A little vitamin C, ascorbic acid I put in there. Not all the time. I do a little bit, especially if their dogs are under any kind of stress, like around vaccination time. That's another subject right there. But if they're right now, the mama dogs are getting that every day. They're getting a little sprinkle, literally a pinch in their food. I don't want to overdo it.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. I really wanted to get into teledocking today. Nutrition took up a lot of our time. There are a lot of questions I have for you, but I think we're going to call it for today.
Oh, nutrition episode 2 next time.
Nutrition episode 2. Yeah, we may have a little bit more to speak on nutrition, but
I mean, it's a big topic for the people in our house too. Nutrition is a big deal. So
correct. Yeah. It's one of the most important things in any living creature. But the little time we have left, why don't you go get another puppy?
Okay. Do you have
We'll
something
show
to
a
say?
different one. Yeah, I do.
I'm not very fast.
No, just bring one. Maybe it'd be easier.
Okay.
And don't run, you'll fall. But yeah. So we don't have any sponsors yet. Origin, come talk to us. No. So she's gonna get another puppy. We were thinking like at the end of every episode, we would bring out a puppy so you guys can see how they grow or the differences in them and how they're doing. Today the puppies were crazy, rambunctious, very fun. They're getting to that age where it's they're enjoyable. It's like when you have an infant child, and in the beginning you just hold them, but when they start walking around and talking, they get to be a lot more fun. She's right. Let's take a long time. Oh, there she is. What do you got?
I have Marlin.
Ooh.
We'll move
Why
the
do you call him
camera
Marlin?
closer.
Because the neck marking looks like a marlin.
So she has marlin, and the reason I don't know if you guys heard her, but his neck marking looks like a marlin on his neck. You might want to turn around. Does it look like a marlin? Well, we try to give him little nicknames.
And this is one of Layla's puppies. They're 17 days old today. I think all their eyes are open now. And they're playing, they're barking, they're growling, they're howling.
How much do you think he weighs?
I haven't weighed him in a couple of days because I have the scaled him with the baby puppies, the little puppies. Well, they baby. Yeah. But I'm going to guess that he might weigh close to, 2.5 pounds now.
Oh, it's a 10-pound baby. No. Oh, yeah.
And I think he's the smallest of the batch.
And he's
of
a
the
red.
Puppies. Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's so wiggly.
Yeah. He was asleep. Now he's all ready to eat and play.
Oh, yeah. I messed him up. All right. Okay, guys. So that's it for today. And we'll see you tomorrow.